The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 15th day of October. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Wells Windows, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Sancha Durham, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Greetings, Sister Sanch. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
You had a good weekend?
I did. I felt like it was super busy and it went super fast. You know what I did this weekend for the first time ever in my life?
First time. What hasn't Sancha done?
You're gonna be shocked.
What'd you do?
I've been fishing.
Oh my goodness. Sancha, you've never been fishing?
I've never been fishing in my life. Now, mind you, I didn't touch the fish. I didn't take the hook off or any of that. I'm like, I can't.
Sancha, you never been fishing?
Nope.
Like, hold on. Let me. I need clarity. Fishing on a boat or fishing off the rocks?
Fishing, boat, rocks, dock, fishing. Never been fishing.
You own boats and stuff.
Never been fishing.
Wow.
That's crazy, right?
I gotta ask the audience now. Audience, has anyone out there never been fishing? Has anyone out there never been fishing? We gotta ask this now.
I know, right?
Did you catch anything?
Maddox caught a fish.
That's not what I asked. Did you catch anything?
Okay, so it was like support fishing.
Oh, so you didn't hold a line or anything?
No, but it was nice.
Okay. So we asked the audience, has anyone out there, have you been fishing before? And someone in Sancha's club, David Michael Wilson, says, I haven't.
Thank you.
So, you know what? You know who will be proud of you?
Who?
Peter.
Okay.
Peter. Yeah, because, you're not harming animals and so on. So they'd be proud. They'd be happy with you. Yeah. Charles H. Jeff II says, never been fishing. Are you really Bermudian? Is it today? Is today Friday fun day? Charles, I was about to say this is definitely a Friday fun day thing.
I know.
Yeah.
But listen, I ticked it off my box. Next time I'll try to, take a rod myself.
Okay.
But I can. Yeah.
No, we're excited for you. We're happy. Strange, but we're happy for you. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sancha and David Michael Wilson. I think everyone else who hasn't been fishing is a bit too embarrassed to say, but we'll leave them alone this morning. But real quickly, I know some folks were like, why wasn't it a show yesterday? So I did not. Did you know that they changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day?
Absolutely did not know.
I had no idea. I said.
Did you do the research to find out when they made this switch? Because
I didn't care that much. Honestly, not to be rude, but I was like, hold on. Wasn't it? Then I was like, it was October. This is old Columbus Day. So they just changed it up. So anyway, folks, we, in honor of our ancestors, we celebrate an Indigenous People Day at the last minute. So,
what did you do?
Slept. No, I was supposed to sleep, but I ended up working anyway. So
Getting your rest. It's important.
Yeah. And I've been dehydrated, so I had to drink a lot of water. So I was back and forth to the, laboratory. Let's go through these last few things. Shigarina asks, does fishing off the rock? Yeah, it does. That's why we were asking. Fishing, boat, rock. Yeah, it counts. Yeah. Charles is judging. He said, wait, so did you fish or were you there? Well, Maddox, she said she was support. She was support.
I support fished.
Yeah. This is Friday's question, by the way, this week. How you pronounce that? Ligovax translations. Says Friday fun day topic. What Bermudian activity have you never done? So that's what we'll talk about. But anyway, folks, we gotta go. It's Tuesday. So greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Milton Raposo on. We're discussing Portuguese history in Bermuda. And I'll tell you where I learned so much about Portuguese history in Bermuda. You ever been to Dockyard at the museum up there?
I have.
Man, you can learn so much. And I tell you what, and I say this respectfully, the Portuguese history was as deep as the West Indian. It was really deep, and it's a great place where you can learn so much. So excited to hear from Milton, and we'll be talking a lot about his film, 2019 film, that I encourage the audience to check out as well. So happy to have him in the show today. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. So let's jump into today's conversation, Sancha. So Sancha sent it first, and then some other folks sent it. Some video about some dating show, right? It must be popular. And of course, Maya, young person, under 30, knew what it was and was trying to explain it. I still don't understand it because, you know, you got to break things down for me. But anyway, it looks like there's balloons, like it's you pop balloons if you like somebody or something, or you don't like them. You don't like them. You pop balloons if you don't like them. No, you don't? Okay. Well,
I don't know. Yes, I think it's if you don't like them, you pop it, and then it seems like you sit there and insult each other.
Oh, so it's crazy. Well, not crazy. You know what I mean. But anyway, so that got me thinking. You know, Bermuda last year, or was it earlier this year? You had Real Salt Lake Wives or something in Bermuda. We've had The Bachelor in Bermuda, right?
We've had Housewives of Potomac in Bermuda.
Yep, all that stuff. So it got me thinking, and I'll tell you why it got me thinking in a second. But I guess the Bermuda's in need, right? I think we continue to turn towards international business. I think Bermudians have faced reality with tourism. We're not looking at tourism as a viable alternative as much anymore. But what global program, like what global show or program do you believe would benefit Bermuda and Bermudians with our own version, right? We have Glenn Blakeney and Inter-Island Communications who are still kicking and pushing forward with Bermuda Idol. Honestly, I'm not quite sure how that still goes. Like if it's popular with Bermudians, I don't know. But you have him still pushing that. But what global program do you believe will benefit Bermuda and Bermudians with our own version? Like, did Bermuda have an amazing race at one point? Did we have one of those?
I don't know.
I don't even know what that is, but I've heard the term. Survivor. Right, Survivor probably would be a good one. But the reason I think this is a great question, audience, is I remember when the OBA became government, and I sat and met with Craig Kennenair, and I said to him when they were talking about Morgan's Point, and I said to him, I was like, why don't we consider Bermuda's own like Hollywood up in that, you know, one of those spaces up there? It's a big space. I said, you'll create something for the arts and you know, do kind of what Tyler Perry did in Atlanta. Like Atlanta's like the Hollywood of the Southeast, right? And I thought it was an opportunity to do that. Well, obviously they decided to go the hotel route, and 12 years later,
here we are.
I was just gonna let the birds chirp, let the crickets make noise. But my point is, I think we missed a great opportunity because we're so narrow-minded in our thinking. It's always IB, it's always hotels and tourism. It's never, you know, I even offered, like, well, why not create Bermuda's own Silicon Valley, you know, for IT sector, right? But anyway, what are your thoughts, audience? What global show program do you believe would benefit Bermuda and Bermudians with our own version? And here's one. Do you believe that Bermuda should focus on showbiz and entertainment? Do you believe that we should make that a focus? Sandra, you don't think we should make it a focus?
No.
Why not? Because that guy, what's his name? Anthony or Andre, somebody that got 800,000. What's his name?
Anthony Blakey.
Yeah, like did that ruin it for you?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it shouldn't have happened.
Okay.
We know the story behind that. We don't invest in ourselves. We think that some foreigner is going to come and save us when we have
Mhm.
so many people in Bermuda in these spaces that we overlook, and
Mhm.
we think someone's going to come and save us, and we just distribute all this money and put all our eggs in their basket. That happened.
Mhm.
Having been in entertainment, I think that if we're going to focus on entertainment in Bermuda, there's a lot that would have to change. Like, so government would have to, is a lot of red tape that we have to jump through, because producing and doing anything in Bermuda is expensive. And
Mhm.
I think that's why we don't kind of fall into that space, right? Because getting here is expensive, staying here is expensive, and then the actual production side of it is expensive. So unless
Mhm.
government is willing to like subsidize or cut taxes, or do little
Mhm.
things to make it attractive, then
Okay.
it's not going to make sense.
But that's
But
the whole point, right?
yeah,
That's they should be making it that way, right? They should be
they should.
making it in that way. Again, audience, what are your thoughts? I mean, Sancha disagrees.
No, but I have a show that I think would be great other than
Okay.
this balloon pop. I realize that this balloon pop situation is beyond our generation. I was on X last night and I was looking at the comments like, oh, people don't like it. They're too stuffy. And I'm like, I'm old. But you know what I think would be a good show?
What?
One of those home shows.
What home shows?
You know, you don't watch HGTV all day sometimes when you're like relaxing?
You're old.
Jamal, I think a HGTV show in Bermuda, you know how expensive it is to build in Bermuda? And if
Yeah.
we have a show that is helping you cut corners and you get into like know where to purchase stuff and how they did it and what it, Jamal, I'll watch all day. You don't like that idea?
No, no,
Audience,
no, no. I think you know what? There's some run. You know what I think would be a great show in Bermuda, folks, that will really help Bermuda and Bermudians? You
what?
just got me thinking. All the derelict buildings that we have in Bermuda, HGTV.
Hey,
I think that's
I'm,
not my
I'm
idea. I think someone said that in the audience one time.
yeah, I mean, I'm looking for an architect right now. I'm like,
Mhm,
if I want to see all these houses to see who's the
mhm.
best architect.
Hmm. I like see we're coming up with ideas, and you know what? We're fixing with that. We're fixing problems, right? We're fixing problems. We're redesigning derelict terms, which are improving the beauty of Bermuda. We're pumping money into the economy by giving people the opportunity to work, and we're actually exposing Bermuda globally on a global platform,
There we
right?
go.
I mean, we're getting TV coverage. I think that's an absolute. You know what, Sanchez? At first, I thought you were just a old hag when you talk about HGTV. I thought you was old, but then I said, you know what? Think about it, Jamal. That actually makes sense. There's ways we can make HGTV work. See,
There we
look,
go.
I think she means great idea. I don't think it's my idea though. But she said, Shonat Bell says, I think that's a great idea, essentially. Yeah, see, the older folks agree with you. So no, I don't necessarily think it's necessarily house flipping.
Like more like home renovation.
Yeah, like a home renovation show. Like really, again, Bermuda has you look on the front page of the Gazette today, and it's about a derelict building that was once used. Check it out, audience. But I just saw the picture, derelict building, right? And I'm like, that's the show right there. So again, the question, audience, is what global show / program do you believe would benefit Bermuda and Bermudians? Like what show idea do you think, you know what? That's a great idea that could benefit us. And I think that show in particular, any other ideas, you have Survivor out there. And do you believe, yes or no, do you believe Bermuda should focus more on showbiz and entertainment?
I mean, I also think that, you have Glenn Blakely that's doing Bermuda Idol. Maybe if we did it like in an international format where we're inviting people to come to Bermuda, because our talent pool is small at this point. So every year we're having this and we are seeing a lot of the same people. But then also what happens after you win Bermuda Idol? I think that if we team up with someone and we're able to give someone an international
Mhm.
platform rather than just here in Bermuda, because you just end up doing the circuits of Bermuda, right? And how far does
Mhm.
that really take you? So I like the Bermuda Idol, but I just think that it needs an international revamp. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
I get you, and I think you explained it very well. The talent pool is very small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back to the audience. Shikarena says the old house did shoot in Bermuda once. What's the old house?
This old house. You do not watch these shows at all.
No.
Well, I need to get you watching them.
Oh, okay.
You'll
Yeah.
be hooked, Jamal.
Yeah. Rosalind Famous says there used to be a radio contest that was like a scavenger hunt based on the knowledge of the name of our roads. That would be fun to bring back. Okay. All right.
Never heard of that one.
How long ago we talking, Rosalind? I'm not trying to age you. Charles H. Jeffs the second says, I'm not old, shut up, Jamel, but I love Sencha's idea. Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Charles watches HGTV as well. Monica Dunstan says, Sancha Charlita Soltis and Associates.
Thank you. I just said I'm looking for an architect.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, what?
Are you listening to me this morning? You see, you got so caught up on the HGTV situation.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Mia Chambray says, Sancha, you're 100. This is Instagram, folks. Sorry. Instagram folks say, Mia says, Sancha, you are 100% correct. We have so many incredible, talented Bermudians. She says, HTV, love it. And then she says, Love Island. What's Love Island? Because I see people like tweeting on that social media thing about it. What is that?
I can't help you on that one. Reality TV is not my forte.
Okay. Anyone, let us know what Love Island is. We've got Steve Reynolds. He says, this old house, Philip Seaman architect. So everybody seems to know this old. Well, look, you know what? Sometimes it's okay to bring things back. And if you believe, look, Bermuda, right now, we have an opportunity to really figure some things out. I think we have it's interesting because we have a filmmaker on today. I'm looking forward to asking him the same question. I think we've never taken advantage of this space. And the most recent opportunity, we literally gave away almost $1 million, 800,000 to someone based on empty promises. I mean, did he really overpromise and not deliver? I don't know. I just feel that there's an opportunity in this space. Again, using what Tyler Perry done with Atlanta, what 50 Cent Curtis Jackson is currently doing is it Shreveport, Louisiana, or Baton Rouge? Well, somewhere down there, he's buying up, and he's working. Tyler Perry and him are chatting, and he's trying to do what in Louisiana what Tyler Perry did in Georgia, right? And then there's always been Hollywood and New York. What, Bahamas? I mean, you've seen many movies made in Bahamas. I think Tyler Perry had one down there. Was it Why Did I Get Married To? Anytime I see stuff like that, I'm like, man, why can't Bermuda do that? Why can't we be in that space? I remember Young and the Restless back in the day, and they would always, I don't think they were really in Bermuda, but they'd have a shot of, they were on vacation at Elbow Beach or something and stuff like that. We would get mentioned in like sitcoms. Martin Lawrence back in the day when the sheriff said I was on a cruise in Bermuda. Steve Harvey on the Steve Harvey sitcoms, the same thing. And it used to make my day. But I just never understood why Bermuda did not advance in spaces to really capitalize on that, especially in its heyday when Bermuda was the destination.
But I think also during those times, you had those people actually coming to Bermuda. We don't have any of that anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's like kind of one-off if a celebrity pops up. But before, like, we were a spot. We were a destination.
Yeah. Interesting. Let's bring Maya in, but just go through these last few comments. We've got Dorian says, Bermudians doing Bermudian things, i.e. cliff diving, organized mobilette racing, promoting Bermuda slang instead of trying to talk like everyone else. Okay.
It's interesting.
Sean Smith says, who remember the horror movie The Deep filmed in Dockyard? I remember that. Shikarena said, Y&R, Young and Restless, did come to Bermuda. Yeah, I remember they came, but there were also episodes where they said they were here and they really weren't. translations. I'm just going to stick with second names as Young and Restless was a big deal. All right, let's bring Maya Palacio in for Daily Hour Newsbreak. I wonder what Maya thinks. You think Maya seems like she could be a great actress? Yeah, I wonder what she thinks if she'd be in support of this way of thinking.
I hope Maya's not going to be popping no balloons.
She seemed like that generation.
She better not.
I'm judging her. I'm judging her.
Me too.
Actually, I wonder if Maya would go on a date. Would you go on a date in the show?
No.
No.
Anybody that I'm looking for is not going to be on nobody's dating show.
Oh, okay. Let's bring Maya in. Don't forget, we've got Milton Raposo coming up, speaking about the Portuguese history in Bermuda, which is quite fascinating, folks. And looking forward to everyone getting out there supporting the film and checking it out. Again, if you don't know a lot about it, a good start is going up to the National Museum of Bermuda up in Dockyard. But it's incredible when people put together pieces like this, because we really, as I always say, a lot of us have no reason not to know with the access to the amount of information and the work that people like Milton are doing. Let's bring Maya in for the Daily Hour Newsbreak. Stick with us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Balloon Popper.
Balloon Popper.
Oh,
Sandra, get your phone, please.
well, no. So Maya, I didn't know what it was, and am I old because I didn't know what it was?
No, it's very like, I don't want to say I feel like it's TikTok driven. Like the only reason why I know about the show is because of TikTok. I've actually gone, and it's a YouTube channel. Something like, I'm not even sure if it's on TV. I'm pretty sure it's just a YouTube channel that does it. Like, like a subscriber or switch or whatever. Like they just have this show and they built it on the YouTube channel. That's what I think it is, because I've watched one full episode before because I saw something on TikTok and it intrigued me so much. I was like, I have to see how this goes. Like, I was like, I have to see how this goes. But yeah, it's something, and I wouldn't recommend any of my cousins to do it though, because it's such not press well. I'm just like, oh, this is going to be something. You're just judging off the show, because obviously it's a show where it's just about judgment. You passing judgment really quickly. Sometimes someone ends up together, you're like, okay, I think that'll be a good match, But like for the most part, people are quite harsh about people's appearances, how they look, what job they do, if they have children, yada. The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
So it's shallow.
It is pretty shallow. I mean, the original one is. I don't know how this Bermuda-based one's gonna be, because I did see some about like maybe sponsored business. It'd be cool if like, I don't know if it was more going toward a route, and I doubt it will, but like collaboration and businesses, like seeing who's the best matchup in that way. Because I said, Sandra, I know I'm reaching, but like because it says something about like business who want to like participate, I'm just like, it could be good to promote a business. Like that's probably like the only reason why to go on.
The only reason they said that was to prompt people like, oh, your brand, your business, get it out there. These young people trying to be a business, like these social media influencers. It's like, hey, I feel like my grandmother right now. You sit on. That's not for you.
If you do want to be an influencer, I think it actually is quite a route to go down. Like it could help if that's your goal.
You gotta get to the news. We got a guest coming up.
All right. So good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour News, brought to you by the Great People at People's Pharmacy. So our newscast is starting out this morning with unfortunate 2 violent incidents that left police investigating stabbings that happened in Sands as well as Hamilton Parish. Shortly before 1 a.m. on Sunday, October the 13th, police responded to a reported assault at the Zen Lounge, Somerset Road, Sands Parish. Upon arrival, officers were informed of a 35-year-old man who had suffered a suspected stab wound to the upper torso. He was reportedly driven from the scene in a private vehicle before being transferred to an ambulance which was already in the area responding to an unrelated medical incident. At last check, he continued to receive treatment for his injuries, which are considered life-threatening. Meanwhile, the day before, around 7:45 p.m. on Saturday, October 12th, a 52-year-old man attended Hamilton Police Station to report that he was the victim of a wounding. He told officers that he was near the doorway to Spinning Wheel when an unknown male described as tall, slim-built, and dark complexion made a comment to him. The suspect then allegedly pushed the 52-year-old man to the ground. Another man then pulled a machete from his waistband and assaulted the 52-year-old, leaving him with a non-life-threatening injury to his right hand. He was transported to the hospital where he was attended to for his injuries and then discharged. Both matters are now under investigation, and anyone with information is asked to call the main police number at 295-0011-211 or the independent and confidential Crime Stoppers number at 800-8477.
That's crazy, scary, crazy.
Yeah, it is. I was actually trying to look up just how many stabbings we've had just this year already, because we know that, our gun violence numbers have definitely gone up. Stabbings as well. I report them quite often myself and Teo, so it's becoming very much so a regular.
Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in other news that you should be aware of, your journey might start feeling just a little bit smoother as road pavement project continues, and there's hopefully to make some efforts by the end of November, a quite bigger shift. So let's hear. The Minister of Public Works, Lieutenant Colonel David Birch, said, quote, paving roads is a partnership between the ministry and those public service providers who trench roads with a view to laying their cables underground. Our schedule is based on their schedule, and currently crews are focusing on the westbound lane of Middle Road, stretching from Verdmont Road to Flats Hill on North Shore Road. Weather permitting, this phase is projected to reach completion by 25th of October. Once completed, the team will shift attention to the eastbound lane. He also goes on to say that Middle Road and work between PhD and Heron Bay is in desperate need of paving and has been prioritized by the ministry. However, Balgo has some critical work to do in this area, so they're waiting on them to complete their work before they start paving.
Interesting. Between the rain and the conditions of the road are probably the worst in my lifetime. And it's something we always pride ourselves on. So I'm not going to complain. I just want to, hopefully the day comes when people will have smooth roads to drive and operate the vehicles on again.
Yeah, that's the hope, right? Because they did say they also put in another $1 million to pave some of the private roads. But if you recall back in 2023, Minister Birch also said that this project is supposed to take over 10 years. It's supposed to be like $190 million approximately. And our budget for it's $5 million right now. So that's also something to look at. It's just like realistically, how much can we get done?
I remember the $100 million pavement. What else you got?
All right. So just so you guys are made aware of, a grading report from the United Nations will be issued to show how well Bermuda protects residents with different abilities. The Minister of Youth, Social Development, and Senior Senator Ferbert actually announced that and let it know that this will be happening, that they will be receiving feedback from the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities on its accessibility efforts. We're not sure when that report's actually going to come out, but it's just like be every 3 years. So the starting point, we're still waiting on that one.
That seems like progress.
And the life of influencers and the journey of sports tourism in Bermuda, Port Royal Golf Course actually was featured in the latest YouTube video created by two golfing brothers who actually have been in Bermuda before. And this channel has well over 400,000 subscribers. So let's take a look at what they did while they're here. Port Royal Golf Course was featured in the latest YouTube video created by golf influencers, the Brian Bros Golf. The video, which was filmed a couple of weeks ago at the Southampton course and has already racked up more than 310,000 views on YouTube, shows George and his PGA Tour professional sibling Wesley playing all 18 holes at the venue.
Something just feels right about being back. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are new, we're at Port Royal, where I played in my first ever PGA Tour event, which is pretty special. I've watched the video, Wesley, no kidding, a handful of times last week. To give myself some confidence, did I really actually do that?
Not only did you play, you made the cut.
Yeah,
you
on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, you beat a lot of guys that do this stuff full time. Not myself. You did not beat me.
Anyway, it's going to be a fun 1v1 match. Again, to settle the score, Wesley did get the best of me in the tournament. That's kind of to be expected. Good try.
Both will be competing in the 2024 Butterfield Bermuda Championship, which will take place on November 14th through the 17th. Bermudian golfer Kamiko Smith has qualified for the event this year as well, and also gets a mention from the Bryants in the video. Also to qualify for Bermuda were Eric West and Nicholas Jones.
It's currently going on?
No. That's going to be in November.
Oh, you said November 14th. Okay. I'll start Huh? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
And closing out for our sports related news, you gotta talk about it because, as you said before, Jamal, all is well with Naki Wells, who returned to the island to compete with Team Bermuda in their CONCACAF October window, and all he did was score, and score. Naki Wells lit up the field and definitely pushed the momentum of Team Bermuda when he made a triumphant return with a first half hat trick and a late assist as Bermuda dominated Dominica in the Nations League window at the Philadelphia Stadium on Saturday night. Team Bermuda had a lot of shots off early in a very physical match. Wells with goals in the 9th, 18th, and 26th minute took Bermuda 3-0 by the halfway mark. But that wasn't all Bermuda had left to give to Dominica. Fan favorite, quick on his feet, Zico Lewis got his goal for the game, followed by Norrie Scott and Jai Bean to close out the match. A beautiful ending to the beautiful game. And what a way for Team Bermuda to enter in today's game, October 15th, as they match up against Dominica again at 7:30 p.m. with hopefully a packed stadium for the Gombe Warriors.
You know what I mean?
went. I forgot to tell you that. I was at the game. It was a very good game.
Yeah, my mom was at the game too. She was sending me videos back after back after back.
What I appreciated about the game is that it was on Amazon Prime. And what I didn't appreciate is we've got to do something to convince people to go over the other side of the field, because you got the cameras facing the field from the grandstand where everyone is, and it's just empty over there. So it looks like a practice game, and it's not a good look. I'm sorry to be negative, Nancy. It's not a good look.
From a production aspect, why don't we take the cameras over the other side, or
That
maybe
is-
have 2 cameras? Because there was definitely
Yeah.
1 camera.
Yeah, like again, I'm just happy Bermuda's getting the exposure on Amazon Prime like that. But it just wasn't a good look, honestly, folks.
Yeah.
We got to change that, because from what I saw, there was a lot of people in the grandstand, look jam-packed. But yeah, we got to do better. No, as far as the game goes, I'm going to repeat what I said when the under-14s were doing their thing. They played excellent and so on. But I always say, judge our teams when they go up against the heavyweights of the region, the Jamaicas, the Trinidadians. No disrespect to Dominica, but that's where I want to see us perform. That's where I think that we should be judging our progress when we're playing the heavyweights. Not to say that anything negative. Congrats to him, hat trick for Wells and 6-1. But yeah, it's like in Cedar Bridge, you had I guess remedial math, traditional math, and the hard math. I'm not clapping for an A in the remedial math. I'm sorry.
Well, can I clap for our players and their attitudes? So the captain for Dominica got sent off. They booed him because he was just got a red card. He was horrible. And we conducted ourselves really well. Naki Wells got his goals, and Jai Bean came on in the last few minutes and scored. I was just like, it was great energy. So yes, we have a lot of work to do, but I'm proud of our boys for what they did do.
I'll say it like I said it before. We're setting ourselves up for failure, and we do this though. And that's the reality, because as soon as we face a heavyweight and we don't win, we start to question, and the criticism comes that we do it to ourselves. I'm just saying, we have to be honest when it comes to this. We have to be. I'm not taking away from what they did. I'm just saying, when they go up against the heavyweights and they have to perform, do not start criticizing them because they're taking 6 goals. This is not easy. It's not easy. There are better teams in the region, the United States and Canada. There's teams that are performing. They're in the region. Costa Rica.
Of course. I mean, they do this full time.
And many of Bermuda's players are doing it full time now too. That's no longer an excuse.
Not our whole team. Not like those teams.
But I mean, we have more players doing it full time now than back when Sean Goda and Carl Lightbourne were playing, and they were competing with the levels of Jamaica and Trinidad back then.
Yeah, we have a lot of foundational issues to deal with before we can start going up against those sorts of teams. So
now you're taking me somewhere. Anyway,
We could talk about this all day. I'm going to keep my 2 cents to myself. Let's go to the weather here, guys, because it looks like a developing frontal boundary is bringing showery weather and the possibility for gusts into winds into this afternoon. Cloudy with showers and slightly chance of thunder as well, easing later. Winds southwesterly, moderate to strong, and high gusts in and around the showers. So it's not looking like a beautiful day, unfortunately. Maybe you might see a sun peek out, maybe not, but we've got a high of 80 degrees as well. So just be wary on those roads. Make sure you're wearing your life jackets, all that good stuff.
All
Life
right.
jackets, I'm sorry, raincoats and all that good stuff.
I knew what you meant. I wasn't gonna call you out. You need
It's
life
like,
jackets.
Well, at this point, with the amount of rain that's been pouring on,
Probably right though. Yeah, with the puddles and stuff, you probably do need a life jacket in Bermuda. Real quickly, we got to go to break. Bring Milton Raposo on. But Sancha, do you have a days of the year for us?
I do. So when I was little, my mom, my favorite meal that she used to make, I hope she's listening so she can make it for me because she hasn't made it in years.
Okay.
National Chicken Cacciatore Day.
What's
Have
that?
you ever had chicken cacciatore?
no.
No.
So it's this dish she used to put in the crock pot in the morning. And when we got back home, so now you guys have to go and find chicken cacciatore. Audience, who has had chicken cacciatore? And mom,
It's a crock pot still.
they have crock pots. They're a little different now. They're called what? Slow cookers or something like that?
I think it's still called crock pot.
Wow. All right, we got to take a break, but real quickly before we go to break, I just want to tell people it is Global Hand Washing Day. We should not have needed a pandemic to remind us to wash our hands, folks. Wash your damn hands.
First thing I do when I get home is wash my hands.
Wash your hands.
How dare you?
Wash your hands. Maya, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All right, my philosophy, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Milton Raposo in about a minute, 58 seconds. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazok Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here, Sancha Durham. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Wells, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. I'm still laughing because I think Maya just dissed Sancha. She said, you still use a crock pot?
Do you not see the audience?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, well, Sherry's no help. I mean, she used her crock pot last week. We already know her how she is. Karen Simmons says, yes, and I still have a crock pot. Made curry chicken yesterday in the crock pot. Okay.
See?
All right. You got it. Well, let's bring our guests in today, folks. Again, let's give a warm TH welcome. We've got Milton Raposo coming on. We're talking about the work he's done to educate us all about Portuguese history in Bermuda. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome. Oh, push the right one. Morning, sir. Morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
We're good. First off, apologies for the delay, but we'll make up time as you don't have anywhere to go because this is an exciting conversation for me. I absolutely love this kind of stuff. And as I said, during my years working Bermuda tourism, I learned a lot simply just by going up Dockyard in the museum, National Museum of Bermuda. So I'm excited for this conversation. Looking forward to this. Before we get into it, though, before we get into what we're here to discuss, we were discussing film. You're a filmmaker, and we were discussing some, maybe some shows that we can bring to Bermuda that can help Bermuda and Bermudians. This is a space you're familiar with. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like any ideas what we can do?
I do. Well, first of all, good morning to everybody. Sancha, how are you? Nice to see you again, and to everybody out there watching and listening. You know how the BBC were here recently with this new documentary series?
Yep.
I was involved in that, by the way. I think it needs to be like what this BBC thing is turning out to be a series. So you have more than one episode, so that it reminds viewers to come back next week and see more of the island on whatever episode that is. So The Real Housewives was here last year.
Yeah.
Which I also worked on. That's just a one-off episode. So that gets forgotten. You know what I mean? So I think it's good if there was a series of 8 episodes, 10 episodes, I don't know, something like that, so that it reminds people watching at home, oh, let's watch this show again because they've got pretty beaches or something. You don't know, that kind of thing.
I like that the series thing, and he said something that really stood out, and I really want the audience to latch on to what he said. He had the opportunity to work on 2 series that were being produced internationally. That's what I mean when we ask what show or program do you believe could benefit Bermudians and Bermuda? That's part of the benefit. Bermudians working on these programs when they come. So I'm happy that you got to work on them, Milton, and I hope that people see the opportunities in this kind of work if these opportunities come up. But I love this series part. I think that's what we want. We want longevity, right?
Yeah. And I also think, I mean, historically, I don't know if any of you guys knew this or even if your viewers knew this, but in the 50s, I think it was in the 50s, maybe the early 60s as well, Daryl's Island, that building that's sitting out there? Before that was it before or after? I don't remember. That was a studio.
Really?
Yeah. So you can go online and you can find, films that were shot here. I mean, they're all in black and white and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was used as a film studio for a number of years. And it was, major Hollywood stars of that moment were coming in and out of the country, to film.
It's just going back to what I said earlier. I just think there was an opportunity for us to create that over with, like Morgan's point.
Totally.
I
agree.
We could talk about this all day, man. I love it. But for those who don't know, tell the audience a bit about yourself and what it is that you do, Milton.
Well, my company is called Method Media. And it's when I say we, it's me. Film everything from some tourism stuff to government stuff to corporate stuff. I do short films, documentaries. I try to avoid commercials, and I don't shoot any weddings. I'd be a lot richer if I did shoot weddings. But so it's basically a one-man band sort of film house, basically. Yeah.
So for our viewers that aren't familiar with the film Fabric, a look into Portuguese history, what is it about?
Well, Fabric is about the reasons why the Portuguese came to Bermuda in the first place. And then it talks about how, if you take the title of the film Fabric, how we managed to weave ourselves, I'm going to use that, weave ourselves into the social fabric of the country. And it starts the film literally starts all the way back in the Middle Ages, which is in the late 1300s. And it goes right up until about the year 2000, because that's where I kind of wanted to cap it for now. So it covers things like the Great Migrations. It covers the European slave trade. It covers the 20th century, when the Portuguese came here and what they were trying to run away from and trying to get to. And then when they got here, all the stuff that they sort of encountered when they got here, and up until the year 2000, basically.
Interesting. So this film has been 10 years in the making.
Correct.
Talk us through what was that process like?
Well, I started in 2008, 2009 or so, or I had the idea in 2008. I started working on it, writing a script, ideas, sort of working things out in 2009. I didn't start shooting anything until 2011. And then over that 10-year period, it was a stop, start, which is always the case with this stuff, right? So you try and get funding for a film, and then, that funding runs out, so you can't keep going anymore. Then you have to raise some more. So that was like, a stop and restart, I should say, situation. And then in 2018, I got a call from the Cabinet Office, and they said they were asking about the film, what the status of it was, in anticipation of when the government did the 2019 celebrations. So they said, do you think you can have your film ready by 2019? And I was actually in New York, and the phone answered, and I took the call. And I said, I will make this film ready by November 2019. So the bulk of it really was made between, I think, June 2018 and right up to the last minute, November 2019.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was all hands on deck, just my hands. And yeah, I got it done.
Glad, but I'm happy that you shared that, because so often people think, it's just this quick, easy process. Like you get some shots, you speak to some people. This is a long time in the making, and a lot of work goes into it, especially when you're dealing with historical documentaries. So I hope that people appreciate that as they watch it. Audience, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them through. Go ahead, Sandra, sorry.
So why do you feel that this is important to Portuguese culture and Bermudian culture as well?
Well, the Portuguese story has always been only told in newspaper headlines or in a magazine article, or where it's sometimes it's not even a good story. It's about groups of people that might have had to go to court, and they always say things like Portuguese national, or it might have been back in the 50s and 60s, in the 50s, there were negative stories about how people arrived without their wives, and men couldn't bring their wives, so it was always this kind of struggle story, right? And I wanted to show that, because I wanted, those stories haven't been told, and those stories have kind of been forgotten in a way. But I also wanted to show that we overcame that kind of stuff, and we got through these ordeals, and in the film, I tell stories about how for about 30, 35 years, men weren't allowed to bring their wives, and they couldn't have their families. So you had family separation for so long. And of course, with that comes all kinds of attendant issues, right? Men by themselves, and then, God knows what. So I want to tell those stories. And I felt that was really important. And also to set the story straight on some things that as a child I was hearing that I was like, I'm not sure about that, and I need to figure this out. I'd always heard these stories, and I just want to get the truth.
Yeah.
So I was watching the trailer, and one gentleman, he mentioned that the Bermuda government didn't treat the Portuguese immigrants well during those days.
Yeah.
In your opinion, and all the research that you've done, do you think that the Portuguese immigrant is more welcome to Bermuda now, and has that narrative changed a bit?
Yeah, I mean, as I said just now, they weren't allowed to bring their wives, and so there was family separation. They were also only allowed to work certain jobs, and they were only allowed 4 job categories, right? So I remember when I was a kid, being at a family function, and a neighbor was there, and somebody said, "Oh, this man is there's a guy over there," and they said, "This guy's a nurse. He's a qualified nurse, but he was a pot washer." That's right. So that was all that he was allowed to do. Now in the Azores, he was a nurse, maybe not making a lot of money, but when he came here to be a pot washer, he's probably making more money. So he'd send that money home. Right. My dad was a stevedore in San Miguel. When he came here, so he counted everything that came on the dock and everything that came off the dock. When he came here, he ended up, working on his uncle's dairy farm, because that's all that he was allowed to do. Wow. So, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying that any foreigner should come here and take a job from a local. I'm not saying that. But when you're denied what you've been working on, or what you're qualified for, that stings a little bit, Yeah. So it hasn't been a straight and easy line for some folks.
So what are you wanting people to walk away having learned after seeing this film?
I want people to, where there are these former tropes about why people come here, and I want people to have an understanding of what immigration and emigration is. And it's not like people come here to displace other people. People are looking for a better life. Yes, of course. And that's why people leave. It might be temporary. It might be for a long time. My folks had always had the thought that they'd go back, but it ended up, they stayed, had a family, and that's that. So I want people to understand that immigration and emigration can be a good thing in the development of a country.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And it's not always easy, there's a lot of sort of gray areas and stuff like that. No doubt. And in Bermuda, we have this very sort of, this history of people being brought here, which sidelines a whole bunch of other people, right? Definitely. But I wouldn't want to sort of lump that into the Portuguese story too.
Yeah, I want to go to the audience, but I remember the first story I heard about what Portuguese went through. He turns into the show every now and then. We spoke about this privately, so I won't say, but from a Portuguese family. And he said, "Oh, this isn't my family's real last name." And I said, "Really?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, we changed our last names because when my family first came to the island, they didn't want to be known as Portuguese or seen as Portuguese. So all of us changed our name to this, which was seen as more universal, and we would be accepted as white." I was like, I had no idea, because in my space where I grew up, all I knew, most people in my space, all we knew about was the Black history part, right?
Sure.
So we didn't understand it. So I appreciate that this is, you've put in this work to actually share this, because like I said, I wasn't taught this in school.
Yeah.
I first understood it when I went up to the museum up Dockyard. So I feel like this is something everyone should watch so that they can gain a better understanding. But you said some other key things that, you know, immigration is such a divisive topic, right?
Yeah.
The world, it's divisive. You look at Brexit, you look at the current election in the US and Bermuda. For years, it's been, you know, people coming to take the jobs. And I think the reason it has been like that is, I don't think it's necessarily because of how the groups treat each other. I think it's because it's politically expedient and it works for political reasons. So my hope is that, you know, people, when they do watch this, they come out of it with a better understanding. But I want to go to the audience because we do have quite a few comments. Let's go. Well, quite a few people are asking, can they see it? But Karen Simmons asking, Milton, how can a group / organization arrange to have a showing of the film Fabric?
Well, they can certainly just reach out to me. You can go to methodmedia.com. Sorry, I lied. methodmediabda.com. That's my website. Fabric is on there. My email, phone number, all that's on there. I can, you know, come and talk and show the film, or just show the film and stuff like that. It's an hour and 45 minutes. So it's not just, you know, all the pretty colors of the folk life dancers or Vasco and things like that. All that's in there too, for sure. But it delves deep into some serious, heavy, you know, super heavy issues. Indeed.
Amanda Vaughn asks, she also asked, where can we watch? So you answered that.
It's not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but the it's on Vimeo, Vimeo.com, and it's on there for $8 rental or streaming fee. I should have said that first, but it's on there. And so far I've had about, I don't know, 250 people, you know, download it as far as Australia.
Oh, really?
So quite happy about that.
Let's get those views up, folks. Let's get those views up. Renee Simmons says, I thought the Portuguese that came here in 1500s. Well, sorry, I thought the first Portuguese that came here was in 1500s. Wasn't it later discovered that Spanish rock was Portuguese rock? As a Portuguese landed there, not a Spanish person.
That is absolutely 100% correct. The sailors that came here that everybody thought carved, you know, Spanish rock, turned out to be Portuguese, and that was in the 1500s. But the Portuguese really didn't. There might have been like one or two that have, you know, or, you know, some that showed up in between, but they didn't really arrive until when the Madeirans first arrived in 1849.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was like, I don't know, 250, 300 years. So.
Milton, we've got some questions. I hope you're not in a rush. Let's go.
It's fine. Shoot.
David Michael Wilson, he says, are there any local Portuguese histories to be found / need to be written?
Well, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make this film as well. I discovered along the way was, you know, the Portuguese story, as I said, was just in newspaper articles or magazine articles, whatever. And when it came to histories written about Black people here, the Portuguese, you know, story was only in there for maybe half a page, one paragraph. So, but obviously, you know, those texts are about Black history. So why would they be? So I just wanted to make this film. Now, are those texts out there? You know, those little bits of history? Yeah, but you'll have to, you know, read a lot of things to get that story. You know, so I guess no, not really.
Monica Dunstan, she says, my Gigi always said the Portuguese were stuck in the middle, white skin, so didn't fit in with Black people, but not white enough to fit in with whites. Many families stopped speaking Portuguese to fit in. How did this work? Like,
yeah. At the end of the film, I actually mention how in the narration how the Portuguese were caught in this kind of like middle space. You know, they worked for for lack of a better word, the oligarchy, you know, or people that kind of ran the show. But they also made friends with Black folks and stuff like that. So they kind of inhabited this weird middle ground. And that's why they've also never really gotten, I think, involved in politics, except for you know, a few people. Yeah, so they kind of sat in the background, or they were as it was said in the Wooding report of 1969 after the riots of 68, they stood in the wings. Right.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm loving it. No, seriously, I'm learning.
Sure,
but
sure.
We have two back to these comments are pretty similar questions, but Monica Duncan says, sounds like the same story the Filipinos are living now. Many have good degrees, but come here to be cleaners, etc. But Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, are there any parallels with the Portuguese community and other communities immigrating to Bermuda, such as Filipino community in recent times?
I can't speak to the Filipino community because I don't know. I think there are people who are actuaries and auditors and things like that, and I think that's a benefit of the immigration situation that the Portuguese went through being taken away. I think yes, and there are nannies and there are cleaners, things like that. Because maybe they're making more money doing that than if they were back in the Philippines. But I shouldn't speak to how and why they do occupy jobs in corporate or even in the civil service, you know. Yeah, because I do know some Filipino who are in the civil service, you know, doing well. Yeah.
Mandy Richardson Rolfe says, we Bermudian lot should be learning a second language. Start with Portuguese. FYI, proud to say my daughter is fluent in the language. She taught herself and then lives in Brazil. But then says, other public schools teaching all the history you're speaking of now. So number one, do you think that we can push for, because I know it was discussed at one point, Portuguese is a second language, number one. And number two, and I think my good friend Gary Moreno said it years ago, like he was speaking it and got in some arguments on social media. But as far as the history entering schools, because we've had issues with Black Bermudian history being in schools for years, like, are you facing the same challenge with Portuguese history?
I think it would create a better, yes. So they've been talking about it way back since the 60s, right? And for some reason, it's always been in the headline, but it's never actually been actioned. What's happened is the Portuguese Cultural Association are doing classes on the ground floor there at Vasco da Gama on Reed Street. And my understanding is because of this direct flight to the Azores, a lot of people, locals, have taken it up. And it's, from what I hear, it's popular. So I think that's a good thing. I think it should be taught, or it should have been taught a long time ago in the schools. Yes, I agree. And I think a lot of people also say that. I mean, we don't need to learn, no bad vibes, but we don't need to learn Latin and French and everything, those classical languages, Yeah.
We've got Dorian says, I love this story and have lots of respect for Milton for telling it. Black Indian families that migrated here from the West Indies have a similar story that also needs to be told. Yeah, maybe this can be an inspiration for someone to do, Black history from West Indies.
Yeah.
Translations says, is enough being done today on island to handle the language barrier?
It's certainly gotten better because you can go to the ATM and I think sometimes it gives you an option. I think. I know that the hospital's board, they try to do things in both languages, and a few other businesses, maybe even in the civil service, maybe in certain sections. But I guess that goes back to, schools, right? Like if they were teaching it in schools, then maybe maybe we'd be further along than where we are.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Are you pushing, and David Michael Wilson asked it here, like, are you interested in using your film to push for this history to be included in the curriculums?
After I screened the film in late 2019, I did get word that, I'm just going to say it, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I don't care. The Ministry of Education did want to do potentially a book about it, to turn the film into a book, and absolutely, let's do it. But then COVID came around, and it all sort of, I never heard back. So, but I think I would love to turn my film into a book.
You know what? And I'm glad you said, I don't care you're going to say it, because this is the show to do it. But it's got me thinking, essentially, I know you probably agree with me a bit on it, or not, because we haven't had the boxing ring in a while, but it almost seems, I've read this comment by Manuela John, and she says, recently it was reported that there are bilingual schools in Bermuda. I was surprised to learn that second language was Spanish, not Portuguese. Now, Sancha, what did you learn in school? Was it French or Spanish?
I learned French. Currently, so when Maddox started in nursery school, he was taking Spanish. Started at Summersfield, they start with French, but I think that's a Montessori thing. But then they get to a space where they're able to learn Spanish. But in saying that, they've just bought Portuguese as an elective after school. And I know a lot of kids at the school are taking Portuguese.
At Summersfield?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, I asked that question because it was Spanish at my school. And because Milton made me comfortable. No, nobody made me comfortable to say something controversial, but I'm going to say it. I honestly believe the reason that Portuguese was never considered as the second language is to keep that divisiveness, right? That seems like the only answer to me, because if you have a growing population of people who speak this language, why not bridge that gap by making it something in schools? The only reason I could think of is, you keep them in their spaces. And when you keep people separated in their spaces, unable to communicate effectively, you're easily able to conquer them. That's just my personal controversial opinion for the day. There'll probably be another. But I mean, in saying that, I mean, again, so many people have called for it. And I just want to go through a few more comments for you real quickly. Charles H. Jeffs II says, all of Bermuda's history needs to be taught in schools, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It helps to create a better understanding of different cultures. We are a melting pot. And then we'll go to this one. Karen Simmons says, outside of not engaging in politics, do you feel that there is a separation in not incorporating the Portuguese language in schools? Karen, I hadn't even seen your comment, but that's pretty much what I was just saying. But do you have anything to add to that, Milton?
Try to put things into some kind of context. What you said for the reasons for not teaching the language, quite possibly is true. Yeah, sure. I also think that because the Portuguese were brought here to be, there's a gentleman in the film, he used to be an MP, Anthony Correa. He says that the Portuguese, even by their own standards, were thought of as second class anyway, because they didn't come here to be lawyers and doctors and this and that. They were brought here to be dishwashers, farmhands, dairymen, or I don't even think they were gardeners. So already you're living in the stable, like the second you show up. So why would the schools want to teach that language anyway, when you're a segment of the community that's in the wings, waiting in the wings, or backstage? So why would you want to do that? They would rather teach Spanish or French or Latin or whatever it is, because that's seen as more of a classical thing, more seen as a you can go to anywhere in the world and speak French. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to Instagram because often I forget that we have people over there commenting. So
Yeah.
we have Mia Chambray says, "Thank you for telling our story, Milton. There is so much power in sharing and creating, understanding that we are all connected."
Sure, no doubt.
And Yoga Poetry People says fabric should definitely be shown in middle schools. Goes on to ask, any other films in the making we can watch out for that you're doing?
Yeah, I'll just give you three quick ones. Last year I did a film about Lance Hayward, the jazz musician, the great Lance Hayward, for the government. And then this year they asked me to do a film about Ed Harris, Dr. Ed Harris from up in Dockyard. And now this year I've been making a film about the late Dr. Gary Burgess. I don't know, a lot of people know who Gary Burgess was, but I think a lot of people don't know that Dr. Gary Burgess was from Devonshire. He was born in 1938, and he left at he was maybe 16, 17, and he didn't come back until he was 63. But he was an opera star on the world stages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Keeble Burgess, the captain up there at the BBC, that's his big brother, his older brother. And Dr. Gary Burgess was an opera star. He did all sorts of things. He sang with all the opera greats. I know opera is a very niche sort of sector, but when you look at the details, he was the most celebrated Bermudian musician. And in the film, Keeble says, "Oh, it's weird that we had an opera star." You know what I mean? So that's what I'm working on. It's almost done. I'm hoping to screen it soon.
All right, final question before you head out, Charles.
Yeah, sorry, that was long-winded. Sorry.
No. That was fine. But I know you got to go. But he's asking. I've heard the Portuguese were essentially brought to Bermuda to replace the recently emancipated slave labor. Is this correct? And is this something they'll learn in the film?
It certainly came. So emancipation was in 1839, and the first Portuguese were brought here in 1849. Do I say in the film that that's the case? I do not, because I don't have direct evidence, or I couldn't find direct evidence saying that. So I know things get said. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying it is true. I'm just saying I didn't find the evidence. Yeah.
All right.
I know it's a hot button question for sure. Yeah.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Times. David Michael Wilson. I lied again. I said last question. Okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
David Michael Wilson says, outside of rent and streaming, coming to a viewing, is there any other platforms to help get the word out, flyers, invitation? Well, first, David, let me answer that before Milton does. You can share the link of this program.
Oh, I sure can.
Not you. I'm telling the audience. They can share it. Share the link, folks. Share the program. Let people see what Milton's saying. But yeah, let them know. Look, tell them every way possible. No, so that no one has an excuse.
It's in the chat there. So
okay, perfect. But so no one has an excuse not to see it.
Yeah, I would love to show it again. I once things kind of opened up after lockdown and all that, I screened it late 2022. So I've essentially had 6 sold out screenings, 3 and 3, in 2019 and then in 2022. I would love to show it again. I wish I could show it, once a year or whenever it is. I know that the 175th celebrations are coming up this year, and they're coming up, I think, next month. I'm gonna put the word out that I've not been called to show the film.
Ooh. Right.
So here is the history of why we're having these celebrations, and I've not been called. So that's it.
Wow, folks. We're waiting on a call. That stinks. I don't know the reasons, but it stinks. But Milton, thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for having this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
But also, we're looking forward to having you back to speak about some of the other work you're doing, but also promoting it until it gets in the spaces it needs to get into. I'm a firm believer that our history is, we today, where we are, who we are as a result of our history. And if, we don't know it, Rashida Godwin says it all the time. History helps us understand, where we are, how we got here, and how we can build on things. So thank you for the work you're doing. Just one more time, just share with people. The link's up, folks. If you haven't seen it, the link's up. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can go check it out. But how can people get in touch with you if they want to have a private screening? Just share your number or email.
Yeah, I'll give you my email. I'll type it in here.
All right.
Is that how you spell it? Hang on a second. It's yeah, okay, there it is.
All right.
And I'll also give you my number, but
okay. He's giving his number to you all too. I wouldn't give you my number.
It's too late now.
But all right. So here's Milton's information. If you're interested, please reach out to him, folks. Let's put the number up there as well. So that's Milton's email. Here's his phone number. Before you head out, just tell people why history is so important, regardless of the history. Just explain why it's so important. Just leave them with that.
Because we forget that stuff happened in the past, and if we don't learn about it, we run the risk of just repeating it again. And I think that's what's happening. I don't want to get into politics or into any other person's politics, but I think that's what's happening in the United States and in some parts of Europe right now, where they are marginalizing some folks. I could say some incendiary things, but I'm not going to.
Thank you so much for joining us again. We appreciate you, and we'll definitely be in touch to bring you back soon. Have a wonderful day.
And you. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, no problem.
Bye-bye.
Look, folks, if you appreciated that conversation, just take this time while we go to our final commercial break. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share it with your family, your friends, your colleagues. Again, we want everyone to have access to this information. It's not fair that they don't. Stick with us. We'll be back in 1 minute, 25 seconds. We've got a daily play coming up. Let's see if Sancha's been tuned into Milton.
Did you know 3 out of 4 people say that they have a good understanding of life insurance? But do they really? When asked how much the yearly cost would be for a 20-year, $250,000 level term life insurance policy for a healthy 30-year-old, 80% overestimated the cost by 5 times the amount. Ready for this? The true cost for that policy is about $220 a year. That's as little as 66 cents a day, or $20 a month. So let's put this into perspective. Compared to other monthly costs, isn't getting life insurance a no-brainer? If you can trim back on some of these expenses just a little bit, it will allow you to dedicate the savings toward an affordable life insurance policy. Contact one of our life insurance agents today to find the right policy for you.
Take a look at our workbook for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Alrighty, thanks again to Milton Raposo for joining us. A good conversation. Again, audience, it cost you nothing. If you appreciated today's discussion, conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, Sancha, are you ready?
Let's go.
It's a remember when, Sancha.
Okay.
So you heard that Portuguese rock was once known as Spanish rock, correct?
Okay.
Yeah. So Spanish rock, down at Spittles Pond, was renamed Portuguese rock in what year, Sancha?
Milton did not say what year.
No, he didn't.
I don't know. I thought I knew the answer you were gonna the question you were gonna ask me. I don't know the answer to that.
The audience don't know without Googling either. I'll tell you how I remembered the time. I didn't remember the year. I just remember. I remembered it was Ewart Brown. Dr. Brown was the premier when it was renamed. You're close, Renee. You're the closest. Well, yes, 2000 something, not 2003. Based on my understanding, it was 2009 because I'm pretty sure, yeah, Dr. Brown was the premier and I was at Hot 107.5, but I believe it was 2009. Should I ask Milton to tell me the truth? Yeah, it was 09. See, Sheldon Fox saying 09, yeah.
You asked me a question that you don't know the answer to?
Nah, my research told me 2009, but I was just, I mean, I may not know it, Sancha.
Well, audience, help us out.
Hold up, Sancha. If I'm wrong, you got to come back and be like, Jamal, you gave me the wrong answer. Yeah. So
I'm going to research. I am.
I think it was 2009. Yeah, 2009. But let's give our final thoughts. We got to get out of here. Obviously, the discussion about, filming in Bermuda, like showbiz and entertainment, and then the conversation with Milton about Portuguese history.
So I think that there is a platform for Bermuda, but as I said, it's very expensive. So those sorts of things we need to kind of look at. My HGTV idea, I think, Jamal, is a wonderful one. And I love that you really thought about it and had something to add for it. As far as the conversation with Milton today, I don't know if you know this, but my great grandmother is from the Azores, right? Okay. So Portuguese over here. Recently we had some family that went back to the Azores to kind of look where they lived, and so it's given me the push that I need to kind of research my family history and where we came from, and all of that. I cannot wait to watch the film because it's a lot packed in there, right? That we need to do as a country, as a culture.
Thanks for sharing that. I want to say this, and Sancha made a great point. So I remember Nikita Robinson over at Hot 107.5, Magic 102.7. She came to me with this idea one time, and I was like, no way, that's stupid. Anyway, long story short, I went home and thought about it. I said, actually, that's a great idea. We can do this. Folks, I may reject an idea today and tomorrow be like, actually, that makes sense, because you think you process things, right? And I think we all should give ourselves grace and process stuff. I love the HGTV idea. It's easy. Yes, it's costly, but something Milton tied into that conversation was Bermudians will get opportunities. He had the privilege of working with some programs that came to Bermuda, but I love what he said about this series. Not a one-off thing like those programs, but a series, something that keeps money churning in the economy. I believe we have an opportunity in that space. As far as the conversation with him about history, look, at the end of the day, I've had some conversations with Portuguese people over the years, and the one that stood out to me was the one I shared about them changing their names when they came to Bermuda, so that they fit in with the traditional white person in Bermuda. That was strange to me. I didn't understand it as a younger person. But I do feel like most things that are done to keep us divided. And I'm interested in seeing this film. I really do. And I hope others do as well, because I think whether we like it or not, Portuguese history is Bermuda history as much as any other sort of history. Sancha, do you have any daily inspiration for us to set us on the road?
I do. Give the ones you love wings to fly, roots to come back, and reasons to stay. That's by the Dalai Lama.
Oh, I like that. Reasons to come back, fly, come back, and stay. Okay.
Wings to fly, roots to come back, and reasons to stay.
Reasons to stay. Okay. I don't want nobody to stay. I'm joking. Thank you for that, Sandra. That was a good one. I appreciate that. Sheldon Fox, we'll put him in the draw for this week. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Mediqual, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making this part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sandra Durham. I'm Shemar Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.